The moment you stop needing anyone is the moment you become the one everyone wants. But that power comes with a price, and very few can afford it. True power in relationships comes from emotional self-sufficiency, not emotional dependency. Most people enter relationships believing that the other person will complete them, fill the emptiness, or rescue them from loneliness. This belief feels romantic at first, almost poetic, because we are conditioned by stories, songs, and movies to think love is about two halves becoming whole. But the reality is, when you need someone else to complete you, you are handing them the remote control to your emotional state. Your happiness, your peace, your self-worth, all of it becomes tied to their behavior, their moods, their attention, their presence. And the moment they pull away even slightly, your world feels like it is collapsing. That's not love. That's dependency disguised as connection. Emotional self-sufficiency means you already know how to stand on your own feet emotionally. It means you can feel whole, content, and purposeful without needing constant reassurance from your partner. When you are emotionally self-sufficient, you still value love. You still want closeness, but you don't depend on it for survival. You can give your love freely because it's coming from a place of abundance, not from a place of lack. And that changes everything, because instead of chasing to keep someone from leaving, you choose to connect with those who truly value and reciprocate your presence. Dependency often creates a cycle of fear and control in relationships. When you rely on someone else to keep you emotionally stable, you unconsciously start policing their behavior. You become hyper-aware of how long they take to reply, how much attention they give you, how often they affirm you. Every slight change in their energy feels like a threat, because their actions now decide your emotional weather. This makes you react out of fear, becoming clingy, overly accommodating, or sometimes even manipulative, just to make sure they don't drift away. And ironically, this fear-based approach often pushes people away, creating the very loss you were trying to avoid. On the other hand, self-sufficiency removes that desperation. You stop needing to force anything because you trust that whether someone stays or leaves, you will still stand. Your emotional foundation doesn't crumble when someone withdraws because it was never built on their validation in the first place. You still care, you still love, but your love is a conscious choice, not a survival need. Another key difference is in how you handle conflict. Emotional dependency makes you fear disagreement because you think conflict means abandonment. You'll often suppress your needs or silence your feelings to avoid rocking the boat, but inside resentment builds. Emotional self-sufficiency, however, allows you to speak your truth without fearing that everything will fall apart. You can communicate openly, even about uncomfortable topics, because you know that your worth is not tied to whether someone approves of you in every moment. This creates healthier boundaries, clearer expectations, and deeper respect in a relationship. It also means you attract partners who are equally capable of standing on their own, people who want to be with you because they choose you, not because they are clinging to you as an emotional lifeline. When two self-sufficient people come together, the dynamic is completely different. Instead of trying to possess or control each other, they inspire each other. Instead of exhausting themselves with constant reassurance, they focus on building something meaningful together. There's no game of who cares more or who can hold power over the other, because both know that real power doesn't come from control. It comes from freedom. They are not afraid to give each other space, because space doesn't mean loss, it means trust. And trust is the highest form of intimacy. When you are emotionally self-sufficient, you stop looking for relationships to save you and start looking for relationships to grow you. You no longer settle for people who treat you as an option because you no longer treat yourself as one. You realize that the person who can stand alone chooses more wisely, loves more deeply, and walks away more easily from what is not aligned with their peace. This is where true attraction begins, not from desperation, but from strength. Because nothing is more magnetic than a person who could live without you, but still chooses to be with you out of genuine love, not emotional need. A man who needs no one is not cold. He is disciplined in love. People often misunderstand him because they measure warmth by how quickly someone attaches, how readily they express constant need, or how easily they surrender themselves for the sake of closeness. When they see a man who does not chase desperately, who is slow to trust, who can enjoy solitude without restlessness, they label him as detached or emotionally unavailable. But what they fail to see is that his restraint is not born from emptiness, it is born from mastery. He understands his emotions so deeply that they no longer control him. He has learned to separate the impulse of attraction from the wisdom of commitment, to resist being pulled into situations that feel intense but are unstable. This is not coldness. It is the highest form of self-control in love, because he values connection too much to waste it on something that does not deserve the depth he can offer. His discipline comes from experience. At some point in his life, he may have loved recklessly, given without measure, poured himself into people who did not know how to hold what he gave. He may have stayed too long in relationships where his worth was overlooked, where his loyalty was taken for granted, where his heart was an open door for anyone to enter and leave at will. These experiences did not make him bitter. They made him awake. He realized that love is too sacred to be thrown at those who have not earned it, and that giving himself entirely to the wrong person is not noble, it is self-betrayal. So he chose a different path. He chose to guard his love the way one guards a rare treasure, not by locking it away forever, but by ensuring it is only shared with someone who will honor it. A man disciplined in love does not confuse intensity with intimacy. He knows that passion can burn brightly but fade quickly if there is no foundation beneath it. He looks for substance, for character, for compatibility that extends beyond fleeting chemistry. He is not impressed by superficial gestures, by loud declarations, or by temporary efforts meant to impress in the short term. Instead, he pays attention to consistency, the way you treat him when the excitement has settled, the respect you give when you're not trying to win him over, the integrity you show when no one is watching. This discernment is why he takes his time before fully opening his heart. It is not fear. It is wisdom earned through fire. When such a man loves, he loves without the games most people play. He will not manipulate you to gain control, nor will he surrender his self-respect to keep you. His love is straightforward, unwavering, and intentional. And because he is not desperate for connection, he has the strength to walk away from anything that compromises his values, no matter how much he feels for you. This ability to leave when something is wrong is not an absence of emotion. It is the deepest respect for himself and for the sanctity of love. His discipline also means he does not rely on another person to complete him. He has built a life he enjoys, cultivated passions, and nurtured his own inner world. He brings fullness to a relationship rather than looking for it there. And because he is already whole, his love becomes a gift instead of a transaction. He is not loving you because he needs you to survive. He is loving you because he has chosen you above all the other paths he could walk. That choice carries a gravity far greater than neediness ever could. Being loved by such a man is both grounding and challenging. Grounding because his presence is steady. You know that if he is with you, it's not by accident or convenience, but by conviction. Challenging because he will not allow you to take his love lightly. He expects the same discipline from you, not perfection, but an equal respect for what love demands. And this is why his love feels so rare, not because he withholds it, but because he gives it only when it is real, tested, and worthy of the man he has become. Such men are immune to manipulation through absence, praise, or guilt. They have reached a level of emotional clarity where none of these tactics can alter their choices or bend their boundaries. Absence does not make them chase because they have already learned to live without constant reassurance. They are comfortable in their own company, able to fill their own days and nourish their own soul without needing someone's presence to validate their worth. When someone tries to withdraw attention to provoke insecurity, it has no effect. He simply continues living, unaffected, because he has built a life that does not collapse when someone steps away. This immunity is not arrogance. It is the result of mastering emotional independence. He understands that love should be a free choice, not a response to emotional pressure, and so he refuses to play into games that try to provoke a reaction through calculated distance. Praise also holds no manipulative power over him because he does not crave approval in the way that many people do. He appreciates genuine admiration, but he does not base his decisions on it. Compliments cannot blind him to reality, nor can flattery erase the truth of someone's actions. He has experienced enough to know that words are easy to give and that sometimes praise is used not to honor someone's value, but to soften them for manipulation. While others may be swayed by constant validation, he listens less to what people say and more to what they consistently do. This allows him to remain steady and discerning, never rushing into decisions simply because someone is feeding his ego. His sense of self-worth comes from within, not from the external approval of others, which is why false or exaggerated praise falls flat. It cannot touch a man who already knows who he is without anyone telling him. Guilt, too, has no control over him. Many people are held hostage in relationships or situations because they fear being labeled selfish, ungrateful, or heartless. They are made to feel that they owe their time, their energy, or even their loyalty to someone, regardless of how that person treats them. But this man has learned that love given out of guilt is not love, it is control. He will not stay in a relationship just to avoid hurting someone if staying means hurting himself. He will not compromise his peace or values to keep someone comfortable at his expense. He understands that every person is responsible for their own emotions, and while he will treat others with kindness, he will not sacrifice his integrity to avoid their disapproval. This inner strength allows him to walk away from situations where guilt is used as a leash, knowing that true love does not demand self-betrayal as proof of devotion. Because he is immune to these forms of manipulation, he moves through relationships with a freedom that many find intimidating. You cannot trap him with silence, lure him with empty praise, or bind him with guilt-laden expectations. His love cannot be earned through performance or provoked through punishment. Instead, it must be nurtured through authenticity, mutual respect, and emotional honesty. He does not respond to tactics, he responds to truth. This makes him a challenge to those who rely on manipulation to secure closeness, but a treasure to those who value real connection. His heart is not closed, but it is guarded by wisdom, and only those who approach him without games will ever truly experience the depth of love he has to give. Love with them must be earned through depth, authenticity, and emotional strength. They are not swayed by superficial charm, fleeting chemistry, or shallow displays of affection. These men have learned to see beyond appearances and into the core of a person, which means that only what is real can hold their attention. Depth is not just about having interesting thoughts or an impressive past. It's about having a soul that is engaged with life, a mind that can explore beyond small talk, and a heart that understands both joy and pain without fear. They are drawn to people who can have conversations that matter, who can share their vulnerabilities without turning them into weapons, and who can sit in silence without feeling the need to fill it with empty words. Depth means there is more to you than what the eyes can see, and it is that unseen richness that makes them choose to stay. Authenticity is equally non-negotiable. They have no patience for masks, for versions of you that are tailored to please them rather than reveal who you truly are. They are not impressed by perfection because they know it's an illusion. What earns their respect is the courage to show up as yourself, flaws, scars, contradictions, and all. They are perceptive enough to detect when someone is performing instead of being, and performance is the fastest way to make them lose interest. Authenticity is not about oversharing or exposing everything at once. It's about living in alignment with your truth, speaking honestly even when it's uncomfortable, and refusing to become someone else just to fit into another person's ideal. To them, authenticity is rare currency, and without it, nothing else you offer will hold value for long. Emotional strength is the third pillar. It is not about being unfeeling or distant. It is about having the capacity to stand firm when life tests you, to remain grounded when emotions run high, and to handle the storms of a relationship without collapsing or lashing out. They are not looking for someone who never cries or never feels pain. They value vulnerability, but they are deeply drawn to those who can process their emotions in a healthy way and not make their partner responsible for fixing them. Emotional strength means you can handle absence without falling apart, handle disagreement without hostility, and handle love without losing yourself. It means you can be independent without being detached and committed without being clingy. To them, that balance is a sign of maturity, and maturity is what sustains love long after the first rush of attraction fades. When these three qualities, depth, authenticity, and emotional strength, come together, they create a kind of connection that is rare and enduring. They make it safe for such a man to give himself fully because he knows that the person beside him can meet him at the level he lives. Without these qualities, love becomes shallow, unstable, or transactional, something he has no interest in participating in. But when they are present, his love becomes unwavering, intense, and deeply loyal. He will invest everything into the relationship, not because he needs to, but because he sees a reflection of his own values in you. This is why his love cannot simply be won by appearance, effort, or convenience. It must be earned by showing that you have the inner substance to walk beside him, not behind him, and the emotional resilience to hold love not as a crutch, but as a choice. They are drawn to freedom and truth, not control and games. For them, love is not about possession. It is about connection. They are not interested in relationships that rely on constant monitoring, manipulation, or attempts to dictate each other's every move. Control suffocates them because they have already built a life rooted in independence, and they value that independence in others as well. To them, freedom in love means allowing each person to be fully themselves without fear of punishment or abandonment. It means not having to shrink to fit into someone else's comfort zone and not demanding that the other person give up their individuality to maintain closeness. They know that genuine love thrives where there is room to breathe, where two people can have separate identities and still choose to intertwine their lives. When you try to cage them, you push them further away, because the very essence of what makes them stay is the knowledge that they could walk away anytime but choose not to. Truth is the second force that draws them in, and it is non-negotiable. They are not interested in polished words that mask intentions or half-truths designed to avoid discomfort. They would rather face an ugly truth than live under the illusion of a beautiful lie. This is because truth is the foundation of trust. And without trust, love is just performance. They have no patience for games, the kind where you say one thing but mean another, where you withhold affection to create longing, or where you pretend to be someone you're not just to gain approval. They see through those tactics quickly, and once they see them, their interest fades. For them, truth is not just about honesty in words, but honesty in actions, in intentions, and in showing up as who you really are without manipulation. They are repelled by games because they operate from clarity, not confusion. Games are meant to provoke insecurity, to make someone feel uncertain so they will try harder to please or stay. But these men cannot be pulled into that cycle because they know their own worth and refuse to compete for validation. They don't need someone to play hard to keep their attention. They need someone who is willing to be real, consistent, and emotionally open. Games waste time, and they value their time far too much to spend it decoding mixed signals or trying to figure out where they stand. To them, if you want them, you show it. If you don't, they respect themselves enough to move on. This pull toward freedom and truth also means they are not threatened by your independence. In fact, they are drawn to it. They find strength attractive, the kind of strength that allows you to have your own passions, your own friends, your own life outside the relationship. They admire someone who is with them not because they have to be, but because they choose to be every single day. That choice holds far more weight than any forced commitment. They believe that the truest bond is one that survives not because of control, but because of mutual desire and respect. When you offer them freedom, you invite their deepest loyalty. When you offer them truth, you earn their trust. Combine the two and you create a connection where love is not a cage, but a shared flight, where neither has to clip their wings to stay and where both can grow without fear of losing the other. And it is in that kind of space that their love not only survives, but flourishes, because it is rooted in what they value most: authenticity and the liberty to be exactly who they are without compromise. Beauty may attract them, but only emotional strength makes them stay. They may notice your appearance first, just as anyone would. The way you carry yourself, the way you walk into a room, the way your presence lights up the space. Physical beauty can be captivating, and it can certainly open the door to interest, but it is not what keeps their attention. For these men, attraction without depth is like a flame without fuel. It burns brightly for a moment, then fades into nothing. They know that beauty can draw many eyes, but they are not interested in being just another pair among them. What matters to them is what lies beyond the surface: how you think, how you handle life's difficulties, and how you respond when things are not easy or convenient. Emotional strength is what transforms fleeting attraction into enduring connection. It is the ability to remain steady when life shakes you, to confront challenges without collapsing into blame or self-pity, and to handle love without turning it into dependency. These men have no interest in relationships where they have to constantly rescue or reassure someone just to maintain stability. They want a partner, not a project, someone who can stand on her own but still chooses to stand beside them. Emotional strength shows in your ability to self-regulate, to manage your feelings without projecting them onto your partner, and to stay true to yourself even when emotions run high. It shows in the way you can communicate honestly without attacking, the way you can set boundaries without fear, and the way you can remain calm in the storms that inevitably come. They are drawn to people who can face discomfort without running from it, who can take responsibility for their actions instead of shifting blame, and who can remain compassionate without losing self-respect. Beauty may turn their head, but emotional resilience turns their heart because it signals that you are capable of sustaining a healthy, mature relationship. Without that strength, beauty alone can quickly become irrelevant, especially when difficulties arise, as they always do. If the foundation of the relationship is built only on looks, it will crumble at the first sign of conflict. But when that foundation is reinforced by emotional stability, the bond can withstand the trials of time and life. These men value emotional strength because they live by it themselves. They have worked to build their own inner stability, to detach from unhealthy dependencies, and to stand firmly in their own identity. They know what it takes to cultivate that strength, and they respect it deeply when they see it in someone else. It tells them that you will not be easily shaken by distance, misunderstanding, or external pressures. It means that when life tests the relationship, you will not resort to manipulation, passive aggression, or withdrawal. You will face the challenge head on with clarity and courage. The truth is, beauty is everywhere. There will always be someone younger, someone with different features, someone who catches the eye. But emotional strength is rare, and that rarity makes it priceless. It cannot be faked for long because it is revealed in how you handle adversity, how you treat others when you are upset, and how you respond when love requires patience instead of instant gratification. This is why, for such men, beauty may be the spark, but it is strength that becomes the fire that keeps them warm. And once they find that combination, they do not let it go lightly because they know that they are not just choosing a face. They are choosing a partner who can stand with them through every season without breaking under the weight of life's realities. The paradox, the less you try to possess them, the more they choose to remain. These men are not moved by force, demand, or pressure. The moment they feel they are being owned, monitored, or controlled, a silent resistance begins to grow inside them. They have learned to guard their autonomy because it is the foundation of their peace, and they cannot thrive in an environment where their every move must be explained or justified. Attempts to hold them too tightly only push them further away, not because they fear commitment, but because they value choice. For them, love is meaningful only when it is freely given, not extracted under pressure. When you release the need to control them, you allow them the one thing that makes their love flourish, freedom. And it is in that freedom that they feel the safest to stay. They are not drawn to relationships where loyalty is proven through sacrifice of selfhood. They do not see love as merging into one inseparable entity where individuality disappears. They want two complete people walking side by side, choosing each other again and again, not two halves clinging out of fear of being alone. When you give them space without using it as punishment or manipulation, they experience your presence as a gift, not an obligation. This makes them want to invest more, not less, because they see that you are with them out of desire, not dependency. And desire is infinitely more compelling than obligation. This paradox exists because of how human attraction works, especially for someone who values independence. When you try to cage them, they instinctively push against the bars. When you let them fly, they return on their own because they associate you with openness, trust, and respect rather than confinement. They don't stay because they have to. They stay because they want to. That voluntary choice carries a deeper weight. It's a conscious daily decision that says, I could be anywhere, but I choose to be here. This kind of love is stronger than any attachment created through control because it is rooted in genuine connection rather than fear of loss. Another reason this paradox holds true is that they respect people who have their own lives, dreams, and passions outside the relationship. When you focus on living fully rather than policing their every move, you show them that you are whole without them, and wholeness is magnetic. They are not interested in being the center of your entire world. They want to be part of it, knowing you have chosen them, even though you could stand alone. This removes the invisible pressure that so often suffocates relationships, replacing it with a sense of lightness and mutual choice. In such an environment, they do not feel trapped. They feel inspired to deepen their bond. The less you try to possess them, the more secure they feel. Insecurity breeds control, and control kills desire. Trust breeds freedom, and freedom fuels commitment. These men want to know that they can be fully themselves without fear of being misunderstood or judged for needing space. And when they see that you not only understand this but embrace it, they give more of themselves than they ever would under the weight of constant demands. They become more present, more engaged, more affectionate, because they know they are not loving under duress, but under the pure will to stay. In the end, the paradox is not a trick to manipulate them. It is simply the natural result of loving them in a way that aligns with their nature. They remain where they feel respected, they commit where they feel free, and they deepen their love where they are chosen without force. It is in the absence of possession that their loyalty grows strongest, because nothing is more powerful to them than knowing they are wanted, not needed, and yet still desired enough to be kept close by choice.